What is up? Little NBA Hardwood here, Run Pure Sports. It's our guys AP and Mangone as well. What's happening?
Why'd
boys?
you change the backdrop? I was loving the white. You don't like,
the
white?
Yeah,
this
I like
is how we're gonna start.
Let's let chat. Let's let chat decide. Do we want?
All right.
Yeah, no, we'll go by we'll go by what the chat says. So we got this.
That's awesome.
Or we got this.
Yeah, that's a clean.
We'll see what the chat says. We'll see what the chat says. Did you say it's racist?
Our chats can be typing white and black in. That's a great stuff.
It's my bad, Holden. My bad. You can change it back.
What are we? No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just gonna host the show here. So we got hello Daniel, who's happy, and then Cody H is not happy. So we got a little mixed here. I don't know what's going on. White. AP, broccoli, taco, likes both. We're getting a lot of white here, so I guess we're keeping the white background. I, honest to God, didn't even know that we changed this. Mangone is not Taylor Swift's new boyfriend or
that's
best
not
friend.
boyfriend. That's BFF. Holden. Attention.
Yeah, I know. Oh, by the way, are you going to the ping pong date tonight with that girl or what? What's going on?
No, there's no ping. I'm going to play ping pong with DC this weekend, I think. So no, it's totally different. You are so lost on that conversation.
We just did a show yesterday, you and me.
You don't understand. You've lost track of this whole
situation. Is it worth telling again? Probably not.
No, it's not. It's not. Okay. This is one of those things, Holden. We'll go through the conversation. You know what you're going to say to me, Holden? I just lost these 2 minutes of my life. Like
it's a chunk of my life I'm never getting back.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're gonna do. So let's not try and explain it.
You know what I'm excited about? Working with AP because he's still got another 10, 11 days until his Chiefs get back out there on the field to go win the Super Bowl. AP, I'm afraid of hopping on the train. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get on the Chiefs train after being against the Chiefs train. Although it's going to be tough to bet against him, man. If you're going to give me any points, I'm going to take the Chiefs here. How confident are you that they're going to beat the Niners in the Super Bowl again?
I'm extremely confident, just like I was confident against the Ravens, and just like I was confident. Actually, Josh Allen was the one that I was worried the most about, and they got that done. And then it was, I tweeted it out not long ago. I had the laughing emoji by Purdy, and that's the matchup that we got. So, yeah, Mahomes is not losing to Brock Purdy. I know Mangone and we had this debate. I know Mangone's on the other side, and that's fine. That's fine. Mangone's going to learn. He's going to learn. But we still got a lot of time before that game gets here.
I'll say this. I do think that, the point I was trying to make the other night, AP, is DC was calling Brock Purdy a game manager. He's not a game manager. That was why I was so annoyed and passionate about it. I think it's going to be a really good game. And I think, listen, anytime you play, I said this early in the year, I said, week 4, I was like, the Chiefs have a defense and they have Pat Mahomes. It's going to be really hard to beat them in the playoffs. It just is. So I think it's going to be a really, really fun game. I'm excited to watch. I have a Niners ticket that's in my hand, so I'm a little biased. I want that to win. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to be a great game. And I'll admit, AP, I'm definitely nervous for the Niners. It's going to be a hard game. And I think regardless, it's going to be fun. And the biggest matchup I'm going to enjoy watching, I think, is watching those Chiefs cornerbacks and as much as they lock guys up, can they lock up this Niners team, right? Because they stick to guys like glue. They're really good. I mean, that's what we've watched all year is Casey just lock people up. And I can't wait to watch it. I mean, it's going to be a really fun game. I don't think we're going to get one of those really boring Super Bowls. I think if the Lions were in it, no offense, I think it could have been a little bit boring. I think Jared Goff would have had his issues. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun game.
No shit. I'm going to probably back whoever ends up the dog. I'll just back them. That's usually what happens.
Holden, I said this on a bunch of shows. You're going to get Pat Mahomes as a dog. Do that for the next 15 years, and you're probably going to make money. Even if they lose this time, you will make money in the long run, right? That makes sense?
I'm always going to take some friendly bets. So slide on in, down to whatever. Corey Hole, I'll give you the points. I don't need the points. Straight up.
I'll say this. I trust. I feel like I trust Corey Holt too. That is a loyal guy. Some people slide in and you don't know. Bobby Ayer had a bet about the Lakers that never got paid for. I think I trust Corey Holt, AP. So if you want to take some money, it's there for you.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough. If you're going to give me those, it's not going to get to 3. But if
it's not getting to 3.
No, if you're going to sit here and give me 2 points though, I'm gonna have to take the Chiefs. I mean, it's a simple, because this to me is another coin flip game, just like I thought the first time around. Everybody was the Niners gonna beat the Chiefs. No. So this team has completely turned it on in the playoffs. They're not dropping balls anymore. AP, you know this. There's no team I've ever seen make the playoffs that drop more balls. Valdez-Scantling is catching balls now. Justin Watson's catching balls now.
Hold it. One of the biggest differences in this team is they are just using Rashee Rice. Early in the year, it was like, who is the guy? I thought it was Rashee Rice early on. I think a lot of people did. But early in the year, they were not being aggressive. If you go back and look at the actual snaps and see, I don't know which week it was, but at one point, maybe it was like week 7 or 8, it started trending upward where you saw a real push towards Rashee Rice's snap count. So the Chiefs that we did watch early in the season are not the same exact Chiefs. And also, remember this. Do you remember the year Tom Brady won the Super Bowl with the Bucs?
Yes.
In November, we said this team is shit, right? End of November, everyone talked shit about that team. They look terrible. They have no chance. There's a lot of similarities to this Chiefs team with that team a little bit, where they couldn't figure things out early on. They had their ups and downs, and they are clicking right now. They are clearly not the same team.
So I tried to tell you guys, this team has more talent than last year's Super Bowl winning team. I mean, think about it. Juju Smith-Schuster was like wide receiver 1, and I got laughed at. I got made fun of. And with the emergence now of Rashee Rice, that's it. There are beats. And Mahomes had one leg. He did it on one leg. So I know everyone hates Kansas City now, and that's fine. It feels good to be on this side of it. And Kansas City's time will come and pass. And so I got to enjoy it right now. And then it'll be a new team. So,
yeah, by the way, the kid, he is not a game manager. I can pull up every single stat to show you he's not a game manager. If you look at his season stats from this past season, there are statistics that prove that he pushes the ball downfield better than Pat Mahomes did in some of his MVP seasons. He's not a game manager, dude. Like, stop with this really bad narrative. It's just not true. The dude was the last pick in the draft, and in his second year, right? His second year, he's in the Super Bowl. Does everyone remember Josh Allen in his second year? Turnover machine. Like, just stop with this narrative. It's a bad narrative. You're just literally listening to media bullshit. It's what everyone is doing.
Game managers throw the ball about 20 times a game. Okay, that's what they do.
So Mangone, real quick, like on a scale to 0 to 10, 10 being really, really upset and angry, and 0 being not so angry. Where do you think you are with the Brock Purdy game managers?
I just don't.
How upset does that make you? 8.5?
Right, I'm probably at like a 6. I'm just like, it's just like people are spewing bullshit, right? It's what they're doing. If I said, hey, the kid, sit down and write down on a piece of paper, show me why he's a game manager with statistics, rather than just saying, well, he plays with the best players. He plays with Kyle Shanahan. Like, doesn't it take a really good team to actually make a Super Bowl? Like, it's like the argument, oh, LeBron needs help to win a championship. Doesn't everyone need help to win a championship?
I mean, you could argue that you plug anyone into San Francisco's offense and they become more of like a manager of the scheme that they run, if you want. But I'm with you. I don't think he's a game manager.
Yeah.
I just think it's like their offense.
Here's my argument to game manager. Joe Montana, Steve Young, any of these guys, Jeff Garcia, he's thrown for the most yards in the history of the 49ers franchise. Now, I get it, there's another game, but he's thrown for almost 4,300 yards. He had a league best 113 passer rating. I mean, it's just, I can beat you down with stats when it comes to the Purdy narrative. Now, when they said he was the MVP, I thought that was bullshit. Okay, because Christian McCaffrey is still the most valuable player on that offense. But Brock Purdy, how many quarterbacks are we taking over Brock Purdy right now?
I would argue Trent Williams is the most valuable piece. But yes, you're right.
You know what? That's a great point. You're right. Trent Williams. Yeah.
How many pieces are we taking over Brock Purdy at quarterback? Like, yeah, there's not a lot, right? Now, is Brock Purdy in tier 1?
No,
he's probably not. Could he get to tier 1? Yes, yeah. I think he has the ability to, but I'd put him in tier 2 right now.
With who? Who's in tier 2?
I don't know. I mean, it would be a very long.
Is he with Tua?
No, I don't think Tua is tier 2. I think he's more tier 3.
So he's over Tua. Is he ahead of Jared Goff?
I think he's ahead of Goff. I think Goff, you could argue maybe like Brock is more like at the top of the tier 2 list, and maybe Goff is number. I'd have to have it all written down, but
You
I
know
would
where
put
he is?
I have Purdy above Goff.
He's Jordan Love. He's right there with Jordan Love. I mean, statistically, you want to go look at it. Yes, I thought it was basketball too. But you know what? First of all, if you ever watch this show, we don't start with basketball. And second of all, our guy up here, AP, is about to have his team win another Super Bowl. So you're damn straight. And then third of all, I love getting Mangone on tangents because he's right this time. He's not a game manager. He's a great
and it's an easy,
quarterback.
it's another easy slate. So we'll get to the winners. Yeah. I've been loving these slates that we've had. I know Mangone's kind of on the opposite side, and I understand why. I fully understand why.
Why?
Well, I mean, we keep getting these slates where it's just like we have this elite value. We saw it yesterday. We get it today with obviously Luka and Kyrie. You tricked me into talking basketball. Holden, I see.
No, he did it. Actually, the chat did it. Good job.
Actually, the chat did do it.
Good job, Cody.
But yeah, we continue to get these spots where it's just you force in this value, and then the last two nights, the most random lineup ends up winning the flagship 15. And it's always funny to see.
Well, I mean, Mangone's beating the algorithm apparently.
I'm not beating him.
He keeps saying he's sharing it. I haven't heard it. You know what? You know what? Just don't play Embiid. It's as simple as that. From now on, Embiid's legs are falling off now. He's done. He's not winning the MVP.
We'll talk about it as we dive in for sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got AP talking basketball. We got a 9-game slate. How are we not starting now? That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're there. We're there now.
I think it might be time then.
Yeah, we got a couple things going on at RPS. I think there's one more day. Yeah, because by February it's done. New Year 15. Just one big thing. New Year 1-5, 15% off first payment. When do we stop saying Happy New Year? Like I heard a Happy New Year last week. I think there was a Curb episode on this. You're done. Like this is the last year you can say Happy New Year. Last day.
You can use RPS 15. I think that one still works.
All right. Now I'm really
RPS 15, New Year 15. I mean, they all work.
This is the last day you can say Happy New Year, though. I don't want to hear it anymore. We're done, Ski. No more Happy New Year. Do you still have your Christmas tree up, AP?
No.
When did that come down?
It came down many, many weeks ago. But the Christmas lights are still up, and the reason that they're still up is just because it's been so cold, so snowy. There's been no way to get them down. But next week they come down, so all will be good.
All right. I just got the tree down like 2 weeks ago. It's very comforting. I almost want to go put it back in the house, AP. The Christmas tree thing with the lights, very relaxing is all I could say. And the cat hides in the tree. Purdy
15. Purdy 15. If you want to help us manage your DFS lineups, there you go. Purdy 15. Sign up right now.
Networks Academy Sport Club. You get a shout out from us, buddy. That was a good one. NASCAR starting up. We got our team here. I'm looking forward to checking out stats. JBC, the rest of the boys doing their NASCAR stuff. So if you're in the NASCAR DFS, if you're in the NASCAR betting, our bet side continues to crush. I'm looking forward to seeing who JBC throws out there for a Super Bowl winner. Again, I kind of have my own feel on this one. And I do like what's going on with the Chiefs right now, but that's that. Let's get into this here. Hold on a second. Jimmy B's sharing something. He was at 216 on DK heading into the last game with a late night hammer combo of Kuminga and Embiid. Yeah, that didn't work out for you, did you? Oh, good old Embiid.
I don't know. Like Jimmy B, you're the man. Shout out to you. I don't know if that would have been enough either way. I mean,
really?
I mean, the min cash line, and
was like,
it's something
330 or something.
Yeah, it was very high.
Last night was not
great. It was outrageous.
Yeah, and I hit 300 and it did not cash. So I was, what are you going to do?
It's because you make fun of the heat map too much, Holden. I hear you.
I can't.
I hear you on the heat map.
I don't know the colors.
How can you not? If you pull it up right now.
Okay, I'm going to pull up your heat map.
The bright green plays, just jam them all in. And you're going to have a good night. There you go. That's my one guarantee tonight.
Okay. So, all right. First of all, I'm looking at the heat map. There's bright green. There's forest green. There's blue. There's baby blue. Fuchsia. Is that what that is? There's black.
I mean, there is a map. So I multi-enter, Holden, and I'm trying to help people understand where I am at. And it's hard to put like my stuff changes so quickly that it's easier to change a color than like go in and individually change numbers. So I know it's not perfect, but it works.
Red, bad, purple equals news. Let me go back to the heat map. Actually, I kind of want to share the heat map here. Let me. Am I allowed to show the heat map?
Yeah, you can. I mean, yeah, you can.
All right, let me make sure it's not the porn.
It's fine.
Now. Okay, here we go.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine if it's porn. All right, so here's the heat map, and I got to get rid of the 3 shots. Let me just put there you go. All right, so here's the heat map. All right, and there's a lot of different colors. And if I were you, I would probably screenshot this if you're not a member, because this is one of our most valuable tools. I know I bust in AP balls, but can you explain the heat map? This is what you get from this.
Yeah, let me explain kind of my thoughts on how I view it and why it's constructed like this. So late swap is very important. I think late swap is, if you're able to do so, if you're a multi-entry player, that's where you're going to gain a lot of your edge. And for me, I'm a visual learner. I like to know, like, just think about the game of chess and your opponent right across from you. Visually, you can see where all the pieces are. Mm-hmm. It allows you to map out what your essential strategy is going to be. That's how I view the heat map, and that's why it's constructed by lock times. So you see 7 Eastern, 7:30 Eastern, 8 Eastern. Under that, you see the injuries if you want to dive in and read a little bit further. And then I'm just trying to show you up top. I mean, who knows if like the titles are perfect, core play, solid, elite, GPP. I mean, could these be a little bit better? Sure, they could. If anyone has some suggestions, I'm all ears. But I'm trying to help you identify what I feel the best plays are. And I'm trying to, so I do this, I do my macro level of research, which that's what I consider this. And then I plug in all my stuff into SaberSim, obviously our partners. I'm trying to get my ownership, my allocation to match this as closely as possible. That is what I'm trying to do. So like right now on this slate tonight, you can see that Dallas is going to be a great source of very, very strong elite plays. I would consider core plays. Jaden Hardy, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green. I think Denver also another great source of solid plays. So that's essentially how I use it. Does that make sense, Holden?
No, not at all. I don't even know where the red is. What is the red?
That just plays on fading. Plays on fading. They're kind of outside. It's one of those where it's like, if someone else has a read on it, I don't want to necessarily like fully talk them, off of it. That's where I go in between the like filler versus fade.
Got it. Okay. In all honesty, people, I'm just busting his balls. The heat map is an extraordinarily.
No, I mean, it's.
Whoa. What happened there? Must have gone to my other page. Sorry about that, Mangone. Get that off of my screen here. Okay.
What the heck was that? I wasn't looking. I just saw.
Oh, do you need to see it again?
I got a quick flash of this.
No, he's like,
let's get into the meat. Let's get into the
meat. He's blushing. I made him blush.
I didn't know if that was one of those things where, like, was that actually a butt or was that just an optical illusion? That was a butt.
That was. Her name was Samantha. Anyways, you wanted to get into slate, so let's do that. What do we got? A little 9-gamer tonight, boys? Yeah, baby. Hit the like button. Network. Hey, listen, we all have the internet. Just keep the show on and go search for whatever you look like. 2 potato. All right, AP 9-gamer again. So give us a little breakdown of this slate tonight. I know we are waiting on some news. We do know that Zion was downgraded. We're waiting on news on what Paul George, Ben Simmons, who looked pretty capable the other night, Jared Allen, Herb, Keldon, Grayson Allen. So these are just some of the names we're waiting on for the news. And on Up to Lock, which comes up in less than an hour, if you're a subscriber, we break it all down. JSU will be there. Big T stops by. JVC. Everybody stops by on that show. But let's get into it here. 9-gamer, what are some of your initial thoughts, AP, going into this slate?
One thing too, I don't know if we've been as kind of vocal about this, but JBC on the Up to Lock show has been awesome. And if you're a multi-entry player or if you play single entry or whatever, you should be watching that show. I think it's a great show. he's very transparent with his takes, and he's been one of the best for a while now. So, and again, he's on that show, pretty 3 or 4 days a week? Is that correct?
He'll stop by. He was on yesterday. He'll just answer your questions.
So as far as the slate overview goes, again, this slate's going to be very similar to kind of what we saw yesterday, the day before. And my kind of philosophy or mindset right now is when I look at these slates, I think it's easy-ish to cash, tougher to like solo ship and to make money. We all know what the best plays are. And for me, it becomes kind of a mix and match combination. And when you're down there at the end, it's usually a 1v1 or 2v2. So I get where Mangone's at, and having more variance, tougher decisions. I like that too, but sometimes it is nice to have easy decisions. So a quick slate overview just to add on to what I already said. Dallas going to be a great source. Value Luka, Kyrie both out, Dante Exum, Derek Jones, Derek Lively both likely, all likely out as well. There's a lot of like Nikola Jokic out. I think Jalen Williams, Isaiah Joe for OKC, they're out. I think that's pretty significant as far as like paths to get a little bit different. The Hornets are still going to have a tight rotation, no LaMelo Ball. And the Bulls still without Zach LaVine. And then Dallin Terry is also out. Paul George questionable. Darius Garland, Jared Allen questionable too. So sets up to be a fun slate tonight. Going to be a lot of really strong plays to consider.
Mangone, they're busting my balls in the chat. Let me go respond to Phallic and Glock, who were very excited about me typing that Jokic is out 24 hours late. What are you looking at, Taylor Swift's new BFF?
Yeah, it's a slate where there's clear values. Like, we're gonna put on my single entry 3 max. Listen, we're gonna target the Nuggets. We're gonna target the Mavs. It's pretty obvious we want to look at those value plays. So that's gonna be one of the biggest pieces to watch throughout the day. Obviously, we know the news, but I'm just saying that those are the plays you're mixing and matching the most of. And then from there, how do we get different, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting mid-tier options that, like I was trying to say earlier on the show, I was trying to make an argument that there's a lot of these guys in like the 5, 6, and even 7K range that just have the ability to go out and break a slate at their price tag right now. So yeah, I think that's like kind of my thought process, is trying to hit some of these values and then kind of nail them with some of these guys that just have insane upside.
All right. Thank you, AP, for throwing the thing in the chat there. Tell all your friends to stop by. We're going to break down the slate. And we're going to get into game number 1 here, which will be, man, the Clippers are a damn good basketball team. All these old guys are being forced to play now. We're still waiting on the Paul George news, but then you go back to Washington. And I'll say this, AP, probably the most depressing franchise I've ever covered. Like, they go into every season knowing they've got absolutely no chance. They had such a nice shot with John Wall and Bradley Beal, and they had 1 year where they actually did something. It's just, it's a debacle. And I wonder, is there any value, anybody you're even considering on the Washington side? And then what about this Clippers side? I think we'd be more inclined to roster some of these dudes if PG's out. So maybe you could start with the Clippers and how we handle that team.
Hey, I mean, the Wizards, they've won 2 in a row. That's great for them. Win over Detroit, and then they followed it up with a win in San Antonio. They get the Clippers tonight. This Clippers team is a good basketball team. They're finally starting to play some ball, but we care about fantasy. I love targeting opposing players against the Clippers. They still don't play a lot of defense. What I'm keeping an eye on is Paul George's status. So Paul George, for one, he's been on a minutes limit. If he plays, I assume he's going to continue to be on a minutes limit. And now the other thing, too, about the Wizards, you see these reserve players get there all the time. So the reserve guy that I would look at that I don't think a lot of people are going to consider, that could be one of those ways to get slightly different tonight, is Norman Powell. And I would upgrade Norman Powell if Paul George was out. But even if Paul George plays and is on that minutes limit, which I believe he would stay on, I'm going to assume that Norman Powell kind of gets this rotation that he's been seeing, anywhere from 24 to 28 minutes. And that's plenty of time to cook against this Wizards team. So he's a value that I think in larger field tournaments is somewhat interesting. The Wizards rotation, while their new kind of coach or interim coach, whatever they want to call him, it's slightly changed, but it hasn't changed enough for me. So I think this is the wrong slate to consider. So like even this last game against the Spurs a great matchup. I mean, no one played over 33 minutes. And so it's still a rotation that's just not friendly for DFS purposes. Actually, no, I take that back. Jordan Poole played 33 minutes on the dot and still sucked. So there you go. I will not be playing any Washington Wizards on this slate.
Mangone, talk to me here. No Wizards, I suppose. What are you thinking, Norm Powell, tonight?
I was going to say, I mean, if AP's playing no Wizards, I don't know how I play Wizards. He talks them up a lot. So I don't really know how I get on them. I mean, I don't hate the idea of a Kyle Kuzma at 7-8, but on this slate, I'm good. There's other studs I'd rather mix and match, so no Kyle Kuzma for me or the Washington Wizards. On the Clippers side of the ball, man, that usage is just so spread between those, like, studs. And on this slate, like, sometimes I like to think about, like, you know, what are the odds of this game blowing out compared to, like, other games that I could look at? I'm not saying I love predicting blowouts, but when I just look at this game versus some of the other games on the slate, I just don't get too excited about these studs. It's a pretty big slate. I think this game is a full fade to kick it off for me.
Okay. I'll come right back to you then because you didn't have much to say about game one. Maybe I can interest you in game two with a couple big studs out for the Bulls as they visit Charlotte. And do we really want to go up against this Bulls defense with Charlotte?
I think you can make a better case for Charlotte than some past slates. Like one thing I have been a little concerned about on Charlotte, and there's been good plays, but I was more worried about some of the blowout factors and like just if these studs don't get their whole fourth quarter rotation. And hey, you are going to have a game that I think is a little more competitive than some of those past games. I don't expect the Bulls like to blow them out as much. Brandon Miller, we've talked about him a lot on these shows. He's shown a lot of upside. These are one of those plays, Holden, where if you look at 6.6K, LaMelo Ball has the ability, or not LaMelo Ball, he is ruled out actually. That was the chat was talking about. But Brandon Miller, we saw him running the point guard position for the first time last week, right? Or not last week, last game. And in that role, he had a pretty good game, put up 19 shots. I mean, I think that's the most shot attempts he's had in the log that I'm looking at right now. We've been, talking a lot about him over here at Run Pure and this new role that it seems like he has. At 6.6K, this guy just has a really big ceiling. So I will not be ignoring him. I will call out, he might have Alex Caruso chase him around a bit during the game. And that is not an easy matchup, especially for a young rookie. So that gives me a little bit of pause. He's already not popping a lot for me personally, so not jamming him in. But I do think if you think this game is going to be close, Miles Bridges at 8-2. I think he's a pretty good play. I think he's got a nice floor-ceiling combination that you can't ignore. Cody Martin, we've seen his ceiling for his price just be really great. Dude is still only 4.4K. I think you got to consider Cody Martin. We talked about it the last slate. DC and I were discussing it, and I basically said, if you tell me he's going to get those 30-plus minutes, then I'm in, but I was a little scared of the minutes. The minutes have looked better. Cody Martin's got to be in the conversation a little bit, and he's running a little bit more point guard, so that's encouraging. Nick Richards at 5'7". Don't mind him as a center play in that mid-tier option. And then PJ Washington, we know he has upside at his price, but as I talked about on the show too, I said he's got really good upside, and he was in the starting lineup, but he does have some pretty bad downside if the shot is not falling, right? He went 2 for 9 last game from the three-point line, played 35 minutes, and what do you know? 24 DK points. That was not enough at his price. But the last game, 7 for 9 from 3. That is really how PJ Washington thrives, when the three ball is falling. So that is one thing that you have to understand with PJ Washington. He is not as safe as some of these other plays, but at that 5.8K price tag, he has an amazing ceiling. He has the ability to get you 50 DK points, break the slate, and you just need that kind of play. Like you don't need SGA if he gets you 55 DK points. Is it nice? Yes, but when a guy at 5.8 has the ability to get you 50 or plus DK points, you have to take note of that when building out your lineup. So the ceiling is just really nice on some of these options on Charlotte that I won't ignore them. And Chicago, I haven't talked that much about them. Obviously, without Zach LaVine, there is some really nice upside for these guys, like Kobe White at 7-6. Not a bad play. DeMar DeRozan, they have Vucevic, but these guys do cut into each other a bit. I think there's options between Vucevic, DeRozan, and Kobe White. They're fine, but I think I just prefer some more bigs that I'd rather get to, or not bigs, some more studs that I'd rather get to instead. So not super excited about these Bulls. If you fell on them in MME, listen, I wouldn't tell you to X them out, but these are not priority plays for me on this slate.
LaMelo's out. LaMelo is out, just so you know.
Yeah, and I think that was expected in pretty much all the projections, here at Run Pure, other sites, if you're using other sites. I think everyone has projected him out for the most part, just because he's been out for a while now and he was doubtful.
We got Charlotte hosting the Bulls. AP, give us a little breakdown here. Any plays you're interested in and maybe the fallout from the Ball news?
Yeah, so a couple flowchart plays actually in this game. PJ Washington, one of them, Mangone hit on that. PJ Washington been balling, shots going down, and he's taking a ton of shots right now. I think he's someone that we should all be very interested in. I mean, with Pat Williams out, so when you look at the Bulls right now, they got Caruso, DeSumo, two pretty good defenders, especially, against opposing backcourts. That's going to be beneficial, in my opinion, for a guy like PJ Washington. So I have a ton of interest in him. 5,800, multiple position eligibility. There's a lot of good check marks around him. You're going to get a tie rotation from Charlotte, Cody Martin, Brandon Miller, kind of the primary point guards with Ish Smith. I mean, Ish Smith has been really bad, so I don't expect a lot from him. Frank Ntilikina, I don't expect a lot from him either. So the thing about Brandon Miller, I like Brandon Miller, but the price tag's up now. This matchup is tough. They can throw Ayo at him. They can throw Alex Caruso at him. It's going to be tougher on the rookie Brandon Miller tonight. I actually, on the Bulls side, I have a ton of interest in Ayo DeSumo. He's got a ton of minutes upside, and he's actually a flowchart play as well. This is the same matchup for opposing shooting guards that Colin Sexton smashed, Dante DiVincenzo smashed, Jalen Green smashed, 59-piece, and Devin Vassell smashed. So you've seen a lot of guys put up some nice numbers against this Hornet backcourt. So Ayo DeSumo is the guy that I have the most interest in. And then I do think Vucevic or DeRozan are fine pieces to go to as well. And for me, it comes down to rules, though, too. We get tie rotations. I don't want three Bulls in my lineups. I think I would be comfortable with like two max, like an Ayo plus a Vucevic or an Ayo plus DeRozan. But I get what Mangone was saying. Like, you don't necessarily need to start your lineups with anyone in this game. But I do have a ton of interest in Ayo and then Vucevic or DeRozan.
I'm coming right back at you, AP, with this next one. I don't know how long it's going to take. We got the Pistons, Cade. It's a tough matchup. I guess Cade could be in the mix if you wanted to. On the other side, we got to wait for the Jared Allen news. But is there any interest in this Pistons-Cavs game tonight, AP?
I mean, when you look at the Pistons coming off a win over OKC, pretty impressive. But
yeah.
Jalen Duren has been a beast. I mean, the dude is an absolute monster on the boards. But look at their rotation. It's just the wrong slate, in my opinion. So I'll make this pretty easy. I highly doubt there's going to be any Pistons in my builds tonight. On the Cavs side, just looking at the injuries. So we got Jared Allen questionable, Garland questionable. Garland hasn't played for a while, and if he does play, I assume he'd be on a minutes restriction. So if he does play, it takes usage away from Donovan Mitchell. Makes me less interested in him. For me, it's more of a tournament spot. Garland's out. You can look at Donovan Mitchell. I do think in that price range, there's a better play that we're going to talk about in the later part of the slate. So I am under or fading this game.
Mangone, any interest? To me, it looks gross on the outside. Maybe you can dig in and find something.
Yeah, this isn't a game I'm dying to get to. Again, we typically like to target the Detroit Pistons. You could make a case that someone like Donovan Mitchell, right? The upside he has on any slate, especially when it's a matchup against the Pistons, right? He's not a bad play. He's definitely someone that you got to consider in your MME formats and even in single entry, right? Some of these like studs that maybe people aren't getting to that could have upside, just don't ignore them. I think he's actually a good play. But other than that, I'm pretty much out on this game. I don't want to mess around with the Pistons. It's too big of a slate. We don't have enough guys out on that team. So it's Donovan Mitchell or bust in that Pistons and Cavaliers game.
Yeah, we literally just got the news that Garland's going to be limited to 20 to 24 minutes. So that is something else to take into account here. Like button would be great. Really appreciate the support. Check out the site. New Year 15, last day for that code. New Year 15. You get 15% off your first payment. Check out the bet side too. The bet side's really rolling right now. Tons of NBA bets. Christine Stats posting their NBA prop bets. I don't know if you're into props, but they're terrific over there. JBC with the sides. Of course, Big T will pop in with his picks. JSU will pop in. Yeah, we almost got that 16-1 last night, didn't we, JSU? On a Christian Wood double-double. Oh, very, very, very close. 16-1 on a double-double. Had to hit it. Didn't hit, but it was a good bet nonetheless. So there we go. Let's get to the fourth game on the slate, AP. Right back at you. It's Sacramento at Miami. I haven't really found a game that I'm in love with yet. That being said, there's always some stars from these teams. You got Sabonis, you got Jimmy, you got Bam. So is it worth going to anyone on either side of this game, or is this one where you're just fine fading?
I mean, Sabonis, like, he would be one guy I would consider if you're spinning up. I think there's better options, but and the matchup is tough against Bam too. So I guess when I'm talking about Sabonis, it's like I never want to forget about the guy because he can put up a big number. I think this is the wrong slate though. Kevin Huerter is somewhat intriguing, but I don't think I'm going to get to him. On the other side of this game, I'm going to keep it real simple. I do like Tyler Hero's price, 6,500 is quite nice. I think this game, targeting this game, I think it's just the wrong slate for me. There's so many good plays that we have yet to talk about. And this is, on an island, 7:30 Eastern. We might not have like full starting lineups. I would rather prioritize news, prioritize plays in the 8 Eastern window over trying to figure out, who to play in this game.
All right, Mangone.
Yeah, I mean, one argument you can make with this slate is because we have like news that's like really important in like the Mavs and Nuggets game. Sometimes you see different starting lineups that you're not expecting. Sometimes we can't predict it, right? We always have an idea of what we think it's going to be, but sometimes a curveball is thrown at us. And you could argue there could be some value in backloading a little bit, but also I think the field might be backloading a little bit too. So I think this game specifically, listen, the Sacramento Kings, at the end of the day, the pace they play at, they are in the conversation for teams that you have to make a case for that you can target them as long as the game stays close, right? Some of the Sacramento Kings, the way they play with their pace, if the three ball's falling, they just blow you out, right? And I think this Sacramento Kings team, they're worth targeting with some plays. Like, I'm not scared of Sabonis' defense, and they got someone like Bam Adebayo at 8K. I think he has upside at the price. Now, you can make an argument there's some of these other plays that have really great ceilings that are cheaper, and one guy to call out is a Tyler Hero, right? Now, Tyler Hero, since Terry Rozier has been in the lineup, has he been amazing at 6'5"? No. The last 3 games, he's at 36, 25, and 33. Are those the worst scores in the world? No, but we haven't seen the ceiling performance, and the shot attempts are still great, right? 14, 18, 18. He could easily get hot in this game. At 6'5", I think he's a really interesting contrarian tournament play that he has the ability to get you 50 DK points, and if you get 50 DK points at 6'5", good luck catching me, Holden. Like, it's just a great spot for the ceiling.
It's not going to happen, is it? I got no shot.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mentioned with these like guys in the mid tier, because the way the DK algorithm is working, they have moved guys like Tyler Hero, who used to be 7.8K, down to 6'5", and they have not made the adjustments with some of the higher up guys like the Joel Embiids, the Jokic's. That's what we have just seen with some of that pricing, like a Domantas Sabonis. He's 10K. I think with the new algorithm, he should be down to 9.2 or 9.3, right? There's just some of the adjustments haven't been made on some players properly. So a Tyler Hero has a really nice ceiling. That's the main guy I'm looking at. I also understand it can fall flat on his face, but you're playing this over a course of many, many days to then hit a big score, right? So that's why I'm kind of chasing some of these ceiling performances from players in this mid-tier range. And then I'm mixing them, matching them in with some of the good plays that we're going to get to.
All right. I just want K Fallick to leave you alone in the members chat. Please, K Fallick, let our guy focus on the game that he's talking about. Stop it already.
Well, Fallick's problem is he always tells me, oh, you focus too much on the freeloaders. You guys go way too overtime on your shows. And now I'm focusing on the members in the chat, And now Felix telling me to focus on the freeloaders.
And I'm hosting the premium show, so don't worry about it, Fallick. I got it covered, dude.
Yeah, we got it.
We'll get it done.
And also tonight I don't know when you guys get off. Typically, sometimes you stay longer, sometimes you don't. I don't know what today's is going to entail. I could see you guys being on a little bit longer today.
No, I hope not.
I mean, I could see it. We'll see.
Usually I'm okay. Well, there's only one 7:30 game, Mango. I mean, basically,
it depends what news comes through. I could see it, but also I don't know if you have cookies to bake like yesterday. So,
man, first of all, these cookies, it's really tricky at high altitude. Yeah, I got some fun set up after the show, after the premium show. So I'd like to be out, before 5:30, 7:30. Yeah.
That's, by the way, based on your cookie thing, Holden, this is why I explained to Kevin that I don't think food is as good in Denver. I think people struggle to cook here compared to other places.
Well, that and like every place, Applebee's is like good food for a lot of people around here. The food sucks in Denver. That's the only thing that pisses me off about this place.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some good places downtown and stuff, but I'm just like, I'm talking overall. Like, I'm talking not like, hey, you're going to downtown, like you're finding like a really nice restaurant. I'm just talking like overall. I don't think food is great in Denver. And we did get some big news.
PG.
The Ben Simmons stuff isn't as big as Paul George is out. I haven't seen that. Yeah, there it is. Underdog just sent it. Paul George out. That is not nothing, and that's in an early game. So that's another piece to
Yeah, so we got McGowan starting for LaMelo. We got PG out. Ben Simmons out.
I think it's PJ Washington is going to slide back to the bench then, because it would be McGowan's, Cody Martin, Brandon Miller,
Charlotte,
Miles Bridges, Nick Richards. I would think. We'll wait for a start.
Unless they want to keep Miller at the point, right, and develop him some of that role. Like I could see them wanting to still do that, but I agree, AP, we could see that. But the good news is we're going to get that news early on. We don't have to even talk about it. We'll get it. We'll talk about it in the Discord chat. That's why I need to be a member, and we'll figure it all out then.
Let me say this.
I'm not playing Bryce McGowan's though. I don't care. He's 3K. That guy sucks.
Dunsky.
He played in Nebraska too.
Speaking of Nebraska, we were talking about Denver food being bad. I had decent Mexican food in Nebraska. Is there any good food in Nebraska?
Yeah, there's good food here.
Like what? Steak?
I mean,
barbecue's got to be decent, right?
Yeah, barbecue is good here. There's a lot of good restaurants. But
okay. Actually, you know what, Mangone? I found two good barbecue places here. So I take it back. There is good barbecue here in Denver, believe it or not. Yeah, Park Meadows Mall, GQ Barbecue. Highly recommend it. If you like brisket, it's the best.
I do like brisket. I do like, if you want to make the drive to Colorado Springs, I always like Rudy's. Rudy's is from Texas.
Yeah,
but I always
Rudy's
like Rudy's. Rudy's is good.
It's a long drive, though. But Colorado Springs is pretty, man. A lot of cool mountains down there. And AP was just in Denver. So he was in the city. That really doesn't count.
He was like downtown by Rocky Stadium. He wasn't like
If you're in Colorado,
I saw a lady like humping the ground. Like it looked like she was gonna like take a shit right on the ground.
Oh my God, AP!
I know. I hold and clean up your city.
I did not go into the city. That's my thing.
I had to tell my kids to like, hey, shut your eyes. You don't want to watch this.
Big cities in America have gone to complete shit, and I have no desire to go anymore.
There we go. So basketball. We getting back on track.
We decided to talk about food for 2 minutes, and our old friend D-Gas she's upset. Come on, settle down. You know what this is all about. She's been around for a long time. She's been around. She's been a big fan since we launched. All right, just for you, I'll get back to some basketball. You got it. She's married, so you creep stop doing stuff. Don't ask me how I knew that. Orlando at the Spurs is our next. Yeah, we're back when I was on that rampage, Mangone, about 3 years ago. I basically hit every girl up on Twitter, and she's like, I'm married. And I was like, okay, have a good. She goes, I got shit to do. All righty then. Orlando and the San Antonio Spurs. Screw you, Pop. We don't want to mess with him. That being said, we do got some Paolo Banchero. We do got some Franz Wagner. We do have Wemby. What do you want to do with this game, AP? Magic and Spurs. Not a great total, 226.5, but there are some good pieces.
Yeah, I'm not as excited about this game. I know Wemby's up to 30 minutes, but Orlando plays at such a slow pace that it's going to reduce the number of opportunities, and we need to maximize Wemby's time on the court because it's always limited. Could he get there? Sure. 200 fair price tag, but man, I just hate rostering a guy who is somewhat capped in what I would consider not one of the best of matchups. So I'm really torn. I'm not fading Wemby. I don't think he's going to be like a flag plant type play. And then the Magic side, you can go Paulo, you can go Franz. Those are the two guys that I would consider. I don't trust this backcourt rotation. So I will probably be under on the Magic tonight.
What do you got here, Mangone?
Yeah, Magic and Spurs. I basically said I want to be on Wemby here like for a while until I don't think Pop is playing him the minutes. And I know someone was tilting in the Discord chat the other day, the Washington game. He's only going to play 26 minutes. He got his 30. Pop seems like he's playing him the 30 for the most part, most of the games. And I mean, yeah, it's pricier at 9-2, but the guy is at basically 50 DK points in his last 5 games and played 28 minutes. Like, it's just hard to argue with. Now, Orlando is not the easiest matchup in the world, but he's done good in some other tougher matchups. I like Wemby. He's a spend that I'm going to look at for sure on this slate. Paolo Banchero, we know what his upside is. He definitely can get the job done at 8-4, but he's not a priority or anything for me. And then, of course, we got to wait on some of the news, like if Keldon Johnson is out, Zach Collins, waiting on his status. That could change how we approach some of these Spurs. So that's going to be some news I think you want to wait and see, and I think it could affect some of your decision-making. On that Orlando side of the ball, I know Wendell Carter Jr. has been pretty solid and shown some upside at 6'1". Like I've said, like if he gets you 40 DK points at 6'1", that's a pretty good score. And he's playing a matchup against the Spurs. I don't hate Wendell Carter Jr. I don't think he's the craziest play, but it is more crowded than it was, right? They've gotten some guys back in their backcourt, so that could muddy it up a little bit, but I don't think he's the craziest play. For me, though, mainly, I'm looking at the studs, right? I'm looking at a Wembanyama, maybe I'm looking at a Banchero, and then I'm watching this Spurs news to see if any of these guys are out. Does it open up some more opportunity for a Sokan? Does it open up some more ball opportunities for a Vassell or a Jones? But we don't have that news yet. That's something to watch and see and then make a decision on based on the news we get.
So this is the point of the show. I tell you, hit the like button. For those of you that aren't members, New Year 15, I'll be doing the Up to Lock show at the top of the hour. I actually kind of want to be late because Fallick is going to be on there with JSU.
No,
and me. And Fallick will start
late.
the show if I'm not on time.
We won't.
The list of my to-do list when I get off this show, Holden, is quite long. So
what is it?
I prefer to be on time so that I can prioritize my stuff for our paying members. So
what do you have to do? That's so important.
I mean, we got more games to target, but I have to go re-update all my stuff. I got to go reorder my tournament plays. We have cores to post. We have chat, to answer questions. Okay. There's a lot to do. Review projections, all the above. Yeah. All the above.
Mangone, are you in for trolling K Fallick, or do you have stuff to do?
I mean, I'm always in for trolling K Fallick. I do have stuff to do, but
Me too. Let's not worry about it.
I am willing to push the limits because I love trolling K Fallick. I'll say that. Like, I'm willing to gamble and be like, I'll figure it out. I'll get it all done.
All right, we got it was, I don't know where this line is right now. So it's the Nuggets at OKC. This thing, we thought Jokic was going to miss. It was OKC -1.5 at home. They announced it. It opened back up at -4.5. Then it went to 5.5. I don't know where it is right now. But let me ask you a betting question here, AP. You're a big betting guy when it comes to the NBA.
NBA betting's been tough. It's been it's always tough right now because there's nights where you'll get 4 favorites that all get blown out. So it's a wild thing. What's the question?
Well, my question is still like, how much better is OKC than the Nuggets without Jokic? The Nuggets, close.
Yeah, OKC's out with some key pieces too. Jalen Williams has been an absolute beast for them. Isaiah Joe has been a nice, solid piece off the bench, and so just going into this game, I think this game is really interesting. I think Chet Holmgren maybe going to have to do a little bit more here. I would expect maybe someone like Cason Wallace or an Aaron Wiggins could slide into the starting lineup there with Lou Dort. I think we could see maybe a tighter rotation. I'm always cautious to say that with OKC, but if we did see that, Josh Giddey would be somewhat intriguing. I just think Shea, when you think about spin up options, Shea is the guy I have a ton of interest in tonight. So even going back to Donovan Mitchell, and this is the guy that I was talking about. Like when you look at Donnie Mitch, it's tough to play him when you have SGA, who's now under 10K. We have Jalen Williams out because Jalen Williams was like basically like their second point guard. And so I think now it's just going to be SGA and Giddey basically running things. And, SGA, like the Nuggets still have Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, KCP, Jamal Murray. This game is going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. Peyton Watson, very viable guy off the bench. So I think this game is going to be a great one to target. I think we should all, from a stud standpoint, SGA should be considered one of the best plays, I think, as a spin-up option on this slate. On the other side, I'm a little bit torn on Jamal Murray, actually. When you think about individual one-on-one defenders, and I'm curious to get Mangone's take on this too, but OKC could throw Lou Dort at him, lock him up, force Aaron Gordon, force Michael Porter Jr. and these other guys to beat you. I think that's kind of the path here. And if they kind of throw the kitchen sink at Jamal Murray, they could definitely make life tough on him. So I prefer spinning up to SGA. And then I like the secondary pieces from the Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, even DeAndre Jordan, going to be a great play tonight.
Mangone, Nuggets, who gets the bump with Jokic out? Do you even want to go there?
Yeah, I mean, you have to like the Nuggets in this spot. You can't ignore them. I do agree. Like, you can make an argument that Murray is fine, right? But, like, it could be a tougher spot where they hedge on him a little bit more. Like, when you have someone like Jokic on the court, that does help and open things up a little bit. And also, like, he's going to be a stud that just gets ownership. And there's a lot of different studs that you can mix and match. So I don't mind Jamal Murray. I think he's a solid play. But is Jamal Murray this, like, lock button, I love this stud play? No. Like, the other day, I thought Luka and Wemby were those plays. I don't think Murray is that play. I think he's solid, but I don't think he's just, like, the lock button play. Like I talked about with guys in the 6K range, I think Michael Porter Jr., if they decide to leave him open for threes, there's going to be some good opportunity. And OKC is willing to give up some of the three ball opportunities to players. If they are hedging over to Jamal Murray, I think you could see Michael Porter Jr. get a lot of opportunities to make the threes. I also think Aaron Gordon, not the craziest play at his price too. Just think his floor ceiling combination is pretty good. I don't mind him. And then when it comes to some of these other plays, like the Peyton Watson, the DeAndre Jordans, for one, I want to know who is going to start. I think that's a pretty big piece of news. Two, I think it could be Peyton Watson as the starter. And then I think you could see DeAndre Jordan come off the bench. I could also see them do that and then them realize, is this the lineup that works? Because they might need DeAndre Jordan's size to help on some of the screens to get Murray open. So I think that Jordan and Watson situation, yes, they have good price tags. Yes, they're good plays. But I think it's more of a muddier situation than other people think. And keep in mind, with the way these slates have gone lately, if you looked at the winning lineup last night, was Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood good plays? Did they do well? Yes, they did. But were they on the winning lineup? No, they weren't. There were actually 0 Lakers on the winning lineup. And we're talking about the $15, right? I know some winners may have had them. And again, they were solid plays, but there are ways to avoid these values, especially on these slates where we have tons of good value plays everywhere, because DK, what they have done is they have priced things up to make it where the mid-tier is stronger, where these value plays, it used to be when these value plays get you like 20 to like 25 in the 3K range, you just needed them because of the raw points that you got from the studs. The DK algorithm is not built like that right now. So I think there are ways to avoid these nuggets, but to AP's point, it does feel easier to hit that cash line when you just plug in those Nuggets plays. I do think it's the case, but I do want to see what the starting lineup is. And I probably think that the DeAndre Jordan and Peyton Watson situation is shakier than other people. And there's a lot of good values on this slate.
All right. We got our next game with just 3 to go. Luka's out for Dallas. Kyrie's out for Dallas. Lively's out for Dallas. A lot of guys out, AP. So we can find some value here. I'm sure it'll be popular. Minnesota on the other side. Start with Dallas. How are we attacking the Mavs tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this, Jaden Hardy, absolute lock. I'm probably going to be 100% Jaden Hardy. We've seen enough of him in this role, and I feel very confident in his likelihood of being optimal tonight. So I consider that kind of a free square, and I move on. But there is a debate to be had with guys like Josh Green, maybe Grant Williams, and then especially the front court as well, depending on who they start. Tim Hardaway Jr., 6K, but again, if this game stays close or within striking distance, he's going to grade out to be a very strong play. So for me, it's how many Mavericks are too many? And honestly, I just curious to see what Mangone thinks. Yesterday I ran 4 max on the Lakers, and then my next rule was 3 max for any other team. I think I might just run 3 max tonight. So 3 max from any one team, not getting to that 4 from one team, just because we have so many spots where there's key people out. Like, I could see a path where I know Amir Coffey is starting for Paul George, but I am very confident that Norman Powell is going to get more run off the bench, and he's a really good shooter in a matchup against a team that does not cover guys that shoot like him. I think he's a really strong play. I wouldn't be surprised if Norman Powell outscored maybe a Josh Green. Josh Green's going to be very, very popular on this slate. So that's kind of what's going through my head when I look at these different plays. But Jaden Hardy, for sure, lock button type play for me. My next favorite for the Mavs, definitely Tim Hardaway Jr., and then it would be like your Josh Greens, Grant Williams, Maxi Kleber, those types. I also think I saw that Markieff Morris might have been in a starter's jersey too during shoot around. Again, another 3K guy that could just roll right into a starting line. Again, we need the news. We need that confirmed. I was just going off something I read. I could be way off with that. On the other side, I will say in these spots where you have a situation where key starters are resting, sometimes we've seen it with the Grizzlies where these scrubs play up and the other team kind of underestimates them. We've seen that twice now with the Grizzlies. Could that happen here? And if it does, Anthony Edwards become a really intriguing play. Rudy Gobert at 6'9". Rudy Gobert is going to get a ton of rebounds in this matchup tonight. I don't think anyone's going to play Rudy Gobert too. I think he's an interesting tournament option. I really do. He's playing big minutes right now. He's been an absolute beast on the boards. This could be a spot where you have a bunch of dudes chucking up shots. Could be a lot of easy rebounds and blocks for a guy like Rudy Gobert. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about when it comes to tournaments. We have all the plays that grade out very, very strongly on the Mavs side. Don't forget about the Timberwolves in this spot tonight.
All right, Mangone, hit us up here, Mr. Mid-Tier. How are we saving some money?
Yeah, one guy I will not count out on the Timberwolves is Anthony Edwards. I do think it's a pretty good spot for him to show a ton of upside at 8.3K. So I think he is a pretty good play. I mean, he showed it against the Spurs the other day, right? 62 DK points. We know what he can do at 8.3. So do you think he's a good spend-up option that you can consider? I don't like Cat and I don't like Gobert in these spots. I'm just not excited about them. When it comes to the Dallas side of the ball, so AP, if you saw Markieff Morris in a starter jersey, let's say that happens. I assume he's starting at the 4, right? Not the 5. I think there's a chance Jaden Hardy doesn't start. You could easily put Grant Williams at the 3. Then you could put Josh Green at the 2 and Tim Hardaway Jr. at the 1 to have 2 different ball handlers handling it. I do think there's a chance Jaden Hardy doesn't start. I also think the more likelihood chance is that he does. But that's something that I at least want to think about when kind of constructing my lineups. The 1, the ownership he's going to have, and 2, what are the pivots I could make if that comes about? I just think there is a chance it could happen because of how big the Timberwolves play. I assume they're going to want 2 bigger guys there. I think they could put Grant Williams on Cat and put him at the 4 and then still play those 2 guards if they want to. But I don't know. I'm very curious what they do with that lineup because at times we've randomly seen Seth Curry start at the 2. And I don't think that's happening just because we haven't seen much of him lately. But we just don't know with the Mavericks. I don't feel that confident to be able to guess their starting lineup, I guess. And maybe if you do, roll with what you think. But I'm going to play more of the I don't know what's going to happen. I think Jaden Hardy is fine, but I do worry about him a little bit in his ownership. I do think it's a really good spot for a Tim Hardaway Jr. Listen, he's going to chuck up so many shots. It feels like someone like Dante DiVincenzo at a really nice price. Kind of feels like a PJ Washington too, where, hey, if the shot's not falling, it's going to end really poorly for him. But the shot falls, you're just going to be running into you can't beat kind of score. So he is someone I really like in this spot. Not dying to play Josh Green. I prefer Jaden Hardy to Josh Green. Similar thoughts on Grant Williams. I think I'd put Jaden Hardy above Grant Williams. I like playing Grant Williams more when he actually has someone like Luka next to him. I think that helps him out a little bit more. So for me, I have Tim Hardaway Jr. ranked over someone like a Jaden Hardy. But I think Jaden Hardy is still a good play, especially if he's starting. If he's starting, I want to get him in there. I'm definitely looking at trying to prioritize his value and compare him to some of the other values that we have on this slate.
So, hey, real quick, just to add on to what Mangone said, back on 12/28, Mavericks played up in Minnesota. We had no Kyrie. We had no Luka. It was Lively, Jaden Hardy, Grant Williams, Derek Jones, Dante Exum that started. But Tim Hardaway Jr. played more minutes than Jaden Hardy. Now, again, I think Jaden Hardy and THJ are both really, really strong plays, close to lock button type plays. So, but I thought that was somewhat interesting there.
Yeah. Just one thing to call out, AP. Like I talked about this the other day with Memphis. Like Memphis only had 8 guys, right? Like there are routes where it ends poorly for someone like Hardy if the shot's not falling. There's also routes at the end of the first quarter. You feel dead, right? You're just like, I'm dead. I don't have him. This sucks. He has 20 DK points. Yeah.
Guess what Dwight Powell did off the bench? I remember this game very, very clearly. Played 30 minutes off the bench. All right, this is actually a good talking point. With how big this team plays, I do think this is somewhat telling. Dwight Powell played 30 minutes. He put up 45 and a half DK points. I'm not saying he's going to do that. I'm not saying he's going to do that at all. But am I going to have him? Am I going to re-put him back into my player pool tonight? I definitely am. Just seeing this rotation here, you have to counter, like, this Wolves team is massive. They have so much size. They might need Dwight Powell to play some minutes tonight. So I thought that was pretty interesting here.
And if it's working, they're going to stick with it, right? And maybe that helps open up with some screens. Maybe that helps open up and get them some opportunities to shoot that three a little bit more because those screens are able to give the ability with a big man for that. So the point I keep getting at is, like, if this was a Wizards lineup, right? Let's say they were playing the Wizards, Dallas tonight, you would actually think those guards are going to play a lot more minutes because it's going to be more small ball lineups just because of how the Wizards play. They can put Kuzma at the 5 they really wanted. Like, Dallas is just going to have to play bigger a little bit today, where that can affect guard minutes, and that might be able to help big man minutes that we should be looking into a little bit deeper.
All right, guys. We got to get the Up to Lock show going here in 10 minutes. So let's cruise through these last 2 games.
Whose fault is that, Holden? Whose fault is that?
Your fault.
Going back like 15 minutes.
Your fault.
Hey, my last note too is Anthony Edwards smashed in that game, like 64 piece, something like that. Smashed. So
no one can cover him. He can get as many points as he wants today. It just depends if he wants to get the buckets or not.
All right. Here we go, guys. Last 2. Pelicans at the Rockets. Mangone, breakdown.
This one should be fairly quick. I mean, we don't have the Zion news, right? If Zion's out, this is a late piece of news that could come in, and we might look at a Brandon Ingram and be like, hey, that's not a bad play. We're going to obviously consider that. Someone like Herb Jones, he's questionable. Herb Jones is out. Well, I mean, Trey Murphy at 4.6, dude, that guy has the ability to get 40 DK points if Zion and Herb Jones are out. So don't ignore Trey Murphy. He's a really good late piece of news that could pop up that I don't think you want to, ignore at all. I don't typically love the target Houston, but like I said, value could open up here. CJ McCollum at 6'9". There's definitely a ton of upside for someone like him. And then on that Houston side of the ball, I mean, for the most part, I think the Pelicans are going to play bigger, where it's going to obviously be good for someone like Şengün. He gets to go up against Jonas Valanciunas defense. I mean, that is phenomenal guy to go up against, right? He's terrible defensively. Şengün could easily have a massive game. Also, this lands in the bucket, Holden. I talk about this. There's a guy at 6.5K, has a massive ceiling. He chucks up shots, and when the shots falls, you know what he keeps doing, Holden? He keeps firing. Jalen Green, 64.5 DK points against the Lakers. Against Charlotte, 59 DK points. If Herb Jones misses, who is going to step up and play better defense, right? I mean, that's their lockdown defender. Also, their lockdown defender could spend some of his time on Fred VanVleet and funnel some usage. Just at 6.5K, there is way too much upside in Jalen Green to ignore him. So I actually think I prefer Jalen Green to Fred VanVleet because of the price and the upside. So those are the two guys in the Rockets I'm looking at. Şengün and Jalen Green as really good upside plays. And then the Pelicans, I want to look at this piece of news. I want to wait for it to trickle in. Luckily, it's at the same starting times as these other games. And there could be some really good pieces that pop up that people don't pivot to that you could take advantage of at low ownership.
All right, AP.
Yeah,
Pelicans and Rockets.
Yeah, I just to echo what Mangone said. I mean, Jabari Smith too is someone I would definitely add in and consider. After missing 4 or 5 games, came back against the Lakers, played 36 minutes, absolutely crushed, 5,700, too cheap. Especially, I believe Tari Eason is still out. I mean, let's not forget Tari Eason, is a fantasy point per minute usage beast off the bench. That all is gone, and it's made Jabari Smith a much better play. But we haven't seen him in a little bit now outside of the game that we just saw a few days ago against the Lakers. So I think Jabari Smith, another guy to keep in your pool. Dylan Brooks, I have no interest in. Jalen Green has just been a baller, like an absolute stud. So I'm with you. I don't like the matchup as much, but I'm definitely in on that with what Mangone said. I can't get to the Pelicans. I know Zion questionable. And Herb Jones. If we get one of those guys out, then yeah, you could make the case for a Trey Murphy for sure. But I mean, there's so many other plays, so I'm not going to prioritize that. But it is a late swap opportunity to consider once that news hits. So because we probably won't get that before the 7 Eastern window locks up.
Last one for you, AP. Phoenix at Brooklyn. No Ben Simmons tonight. We're also waiting on the Grayson Allen news. So any pieces you would consider for what I consider a late night hammer? Obviously, we got some big names, KD, we got Booker, the Cams on the other side. So what do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, the Suns actually playing decent defense. Not a team that's like the fastest paced team out there, but with no Ben Simmons, I mean, that was impressive. I'm not gonna lie, I was very shocked by him. He was too shy of a triple-double in 18 minutes. I know it was an easy matchup. But again, we should see a tighter rotation. And really the guy is Cam Thomas right now. Spencer Dinwiddie just continues to struggle. We talk about it all the time. I'm not playing Spencer Dinwiddie. Cam Thomas is the point guard here. Even DSJ I would consider at 3.9 over a Dinwiddie. Mikal Bridges, revenge. Don't forget about that. You have double revenge, actually. You got, KD against the Nets. You got Mikal Bridges against the Suns. Don't forget about Mikal Bridges. Could have a really good night tonight, especially with a tighter rotation as well. And he's been balling. I mean, 24 shots last game against the Jazz. You're going to get 38-plus minutes from him. Mikal Bridges, 7,300, not a bad player.
All right, what do you got, Mangone?
Yeah, final game of the slate.
That would be Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a super exciting one for me. I mean, I don't think Kevin Durant at 9-1 is the craziest guy in MME formats. If you run your 50 or 100, however 20 max teams, and you got a splash of KD, am I going to tell you it's a bad play at 9-1? No, I'm not. The guy's got upside at the price. It's just simple. One guy who's looked really good and just been so surprising is Nicholas Claxton. Listen, another one of those last guys in. If I'm getting exposure to an MME, I'm not hitting the X button on it. The dude has been phenomenal. So I don't think he is the craziest play. I know Cam Thomas has shown a ton of upside at the price of 6.3. So another guy, Holden, look at the algorithm, 6.3K. Cam Thomas got you 38.75, 46.25 in the last 2 games. He is a guy that shoots a ton of shots. If the shot falls, then he's going to keep chucking. Then you're going to get a 40 to 50 DK point performance at 6.3. The point I keep getting at is I don't know which guy of these guys in the 6K range is going to have a 50-point game. I can have an idea of some of the guys that I want to target and take chances on while other people aren't and get overweight on these guys in tournaments. And then over the course of the season and the long run, I am going to nail some of these plays and get to the top of the leaderboards and just have guys that put me in position to win GPPs. So I think Cam Thomas at 6.3 is one of those guys, especially with Spencer Dinwiddie's role diminishing. We've seen that with his price decrease, and we know this from a lot of the verbiage that we're hearing from the coaches. So I don't totally hate that. And then we have seen Lonnie Walker get a little bit more minutes. I don't think it's the craziest out there guy, but to be fair, there's some really good values on this slate. Do we really need to play a Lonnie Walker Jr. at 3.5, especially when we have an Amir Coffey, who we didn't talk about? That could be starting on the Clippers. That could be an interesting play. I haven't ran the Clippers numbers since I've gotten off the show, so that's something I want to kind of dive into when I get off the show.
All right, let me go see if we probably got Clippers.
Can I add one last thing? I think we're going to see a really tight rotation from Brooklyn. I think, getting the Suns up, back at home. I believe they lost the game. D-Book went off when they played down in Phoenix. I think we get a tight rotation. I think these guys play up, especially Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, the two guys the Suns kind of ditched away. So I think and I don't think there's going to be a lot of ownership in this game either. So, and don't forget about KD on the other side. We had all these like elite value plays. Don't forget about some of these studs like the Devin Bookers and the Kevin Durant. We've seen D-Book's been on a mission, man. He's been absolutely cooking. This guy has a ton of upside too. So,
Clippers lineup here: Harden, Mann, Coffey, Leonard, Plumlee. So that's what we got there. Let's do some quick plays of the day. Want to remind all our subscribers, head on over for the premium show. I'm sure Kay Fallick is pulling the trigger and making sure we go on without me. So that'll be great. But AP, who are we going with tonight? Who's the AP play of the day?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Cam Thomas actually, and for a few reasons. I don't think he's gonna be as high owned as he should be because there's so many good plays. I think he gets lost in the mix. His positional flexibility too, I think, creates a lot more value. You can play him at the shooting guard or small forward, forward utility position and guard. It frees up a lot. You can move him around to many different areas in your lineup. So Cam Thomas, my play of the day.
Mangone, what's the Taylor Swift BFF play of the day?
All right, I am going to stick with a trend that I've talked about. We're targeting guys with a ton of upside, right, at their price tag.
Sure.
This guy's even cheaper. I haven't even mentioned him on the show, but it's Jabari Smith Jr. at 5.7K. He's a direct leverage off of a chalkier Şengün. We saw a chalky Şengün struggle the other night against Utah, right? And, he didn't have a big performance. And I obviously could see him have a big game. 47.5, 43.75, last two games, 36 minutes and 41 minutes. Guys playing 30-plus minutes a night, and you could have this Pelicans team missing key pieces, right? Missing a Zion, missing someone like Herb Jones, who's a very good defender. I think the upside is too good to pass up on at 5.7K for Jabari Smith Jr., so let's go with him as my play of the day.
Jabari Smith Jr., New Year 15% off. Premium show up to lock behind the scenes. JSU, Fallick, myself about to start. AP, good to catch you, buddy. Mangone, good to see you as well. Keep running pure.